I am back today in my studio space in Berlin, which I got very lucky with, and that I'm spending sometimes in these days thinking, researching, organizing my thoughts. The audio will probably be a little bit noisy because it's right in the middle of the city, so it's kind of like a concert of sirens and people just yapping and whatnot. It's very lively, and I must say I very much love it. But yeah, that being said, I just wanted to quickly record this today to talk about something along the line of like having a small disclaimer slash argument in the defense of human-made writing. And I want to talk about this today because I've seen a lot of videos online about how AI really destroyed some people's career, mostly for people who were doing, computer science, but also writing, translation, copy editing, also music production, etc. And although I fear that today will not be, let's say, the opportunity for me to explain all the thought process I have about AI and the fear of being replaced, which is something, by the way, that I did a podcast episode 2 years ago, which I will link down below, which was a little bit more like theoretically grounded. But today I won't get into, let's say, like the fear of automation and how this intellectual working class nowadays being replaced too, which is quite an interesting phenomenon in itself. No, today I just want to really talk about my own experience as a writer and what I would like to sort of, reveal to whomever is watching this, and my argument in defense of human-made writing. So I've been writing for the last 8 years in English and in French. I have published 2 books and I'm writing another one, a fiction one, is going to be published soon, whatever. I loved writing. I wrote my entire life, and writing was not only and is not only my hobby, it is also my income. So I have been a freelance copy editor, translator, and writer for the last 4 years, and this was my full-time income. I say was because, of course, as for anybody else who was working in that industry, things have changed. I want to first say that when I realized as an adult that I could make money with writing, I was mesmerized by this idea. I thought, wow, this thing that I love the most can actually sustain my life. This was mind-blowing to me, right? It was writing, articles for hairdryer companies, but also poems for people, and also like pitch for their companies, and then flyers for investors, like whatnot. Like people were contacting me online. I had different profiles on different freelancing platforms. I still have them, by the way, but I say had because it was these strange old days, which I feel like are so obsolete now. It was these days where I was considered a skilled worker because I knew how to formulate thought and stories. And this feels already old school, actually, in that day and age. So I just want to recall quickly this moment where I realized I could actually make money with writing. And people would come up to me and ask for this skill of mine. And this was a very heartwarming, beautiful feeling that I will always cherish because, I was making very good money for my age at the time, writing for people. I was also writing poems. I was writing wedding wishes. I was writing anything that people would ask me to write. And this is also what mostly funded the side projects that I had, which were mostly theory related or fiction related. When ChatGPT arrived, I suffered, and my business and my practice suffered from it, obviously, in similar ways that other people in other fields suffered and do suffer still from it today. And I'm not here today to say, look at how OpenAI is stealing. No, I just want to say that knowing that we will be now existing in a world where writing is not even, let's say, appreciated as a skill somehow, I'm here to talk about some of the thought that I have in defense of human-made writing. With that being said, I want to start with a small pros, because I need to play that exercise, right? I need to play the devil's advocate here. As for why I think that to some extent, AI can be useful for writing and for processing your thoughts. So I will just name them very shortly, because I don't think there's many of them, but I will still claim them here. One who's experiencing a creative block can use AI to get started, right? One who have dyslexia or feels very, let's say, insecure about their grammar or their knowledge of the English language can use AI to correct their grammar, like whatnot. It can somehow enable some people who had very early blockages to get started to write. And I think this is a beautiful thing. And I think it's giving a more democratic idea to some extent of how approachable writing is really. And it puts really an emphasis on creativity in writing more than, let's say, grammar and syntax and just what's correct writing. Now, that being said, because I don't think that there's much more to it, and we can switch to the other one, I want to talk about today really the core of my argument is the beauty of human-made writing. And I get even emotional talking about it because writing literally saved my life. Like, can you believe it? This is ridiculous. Writing just saved my life because everybody has like a different output. Oh no, I'm really crying talking about writing. That's insane. Make a meme out of me. This is crazy. Okay. To be able to process your thoughts with a specific output is really a gift. You can have it. I found it ridiculous that I'm crying, but anyway, it's okay. You can have it with painting, you can have it with singing, you can have it with anything. And for me, it's writing, and it's always been writing, and I've just been always writing. I don't know if it was ever good writing, it doesn't matter. I just needed to write. I needed to write thoughts, I needed to write story, I needed to better understand phenomena and theory through writing. So I was just always writing. And in moments where I had nothing in life, mentally, economically, or whatever, and I'm quite privileged because I have never nothing, but in moments where I had very little, or I feel like things around me were crumbling, writing was always there. And also writing is just free. I mean, you need a pen and a paper, you need a typing something. So for me, writing is literally something that saves me. And when I figured out that I could use writing to process my emotions, to process what was happening to me, to process my understanding of the world, I thought this is going to be my weapon and my biggest armor too. And I heavily encourage anybody who somewhat feels interested in writing to process to it, because there is a deep, deep therapeutic nature to writing. I do believe it. In whatever language you want to write, like there's a therapeutic nature to it, to put yourself on the paper, to put yourself out there. There's a therapeutic nature to writing fiction, to thinking about storytelling, to extract from your life and put it on paper. There's a therapeutic nature to being able to express your thoughts in a way that you can communicate to people. Like the emotional muscle in your brain, the communicative muscle in your brain that you trained for the exercise of writing, of putting your thoughts into words, is grandiose, it's magical. And I can't believe that we have come to a point where we are actually thinking that this is a side option on an AI program. I mean, this is insane to me, but I won't go into the details of it. I just really want to go in the defense of it. I think that people who nowadays assume that this is not a skill that should be either trained or used, I mean, their brain is going to shrink, and also they will be terrible communicator. Like, I cannot believe how many people are already using ChatGPT to write text to their lovers or to their boss or to break up or like whatever. It's like, can you please train your brain to do that? Because human nature is lazy. The brain is not getting fitter through lack of exercise. So I really, really, really question the capacity of anybody who's going to use ChatGPT, for example, as a support for writing and thinking. I really wonder, I hope they're having a great time. I hope they're making the best out of their free time, that they don't have to invest in, processing things themselves. But I genuinely wonder what kind of mental clarity and emotional availability this is going to generate, like from a very pure psychological standpoint. Now, that being said, I'm not a sociologist, nor a psychologist, nor a neuroscientist, so I won't get too much in detail of it. But I would say that, once again, writing saved my life, and I want to believe that it will keep on being so. I want to believe that's the case. I'm very mindful myself of not using AI too much, because I can tell for a fact that through the few times that I already used it, I became more and more tempted to use it again and again. And then I found myself having a harder and harder time formulating thoughts, structurings, etc. And I thought, whoa, I've been doing this for years, and I can already see how big the temptation is. So I'm not so sure what's up for the future of writing. But I would definitely say that I surely hope that people keep on appreciating and valorizing human-made writing. Not only because this is something that I hold personally for my practice, but also in their own personal life, because what writing brought to me, I hope everybody can experience somehow. And what writing is in the history of the world can't be just diminished to some kind of machinic work, throwing up words that quite often are not that close to what we initially felt. Oh, I'm sorry I got so emotional, but writing is really a big thing for me. And to have seen this skill being robbed out of its magical place, sorry, but really, has been very, very sad. Not only for my wallet, but also for this craftsmanship, really. It's crafting something, and it's insane to me to think that still 3 years ago, people would come up to you and ask you to help them craft that text. And that nowadays people don't think it is. I don't say anybody, I don't say everybody, but most people would think this is not something worth investing an expert on or with. So today, this was my short pitch on the defense of human-made writing. And let's see what the future brings, but even though every second day I have thoughts about whether or not writing is a sustainable practice in this age, I want to believe, and I will continue to write, because I cannot believe that this magical tool can just be borrowed/stolen like this. I just don't want to believe it. Yeah. Thanks for listening.